I'm going to dip into entertainment news. This is something I very rarely do, but I think there's something larger that needs to be said. Now, Zoe Quinn, as you'll recall, was a major name behind the whole Gamergate movement. She allegedly had sexual relations with several men in order to get more favorable coverage for her game. An accusation which, to this day, I've never seen any evidence of it being true. And to be perfectly honest, I really don't care, because if you think gaming journalism has any integrity to begin with, I, 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 I think I think your priorities are a little bit messed up. The entire gaming journalism industry is really nothing more than one organized sales pitch with a little bit of opinion thrown in. So I would say whether or not the accusation was true is basically completely irrelevant. But here's the new development. A guy that she had accused of sexual harassment has chosen to end his own life after the amount of harassment he received from social media and, I assume, IRL as well. This man, his family announced that he had ended up taking his own life due to the harassment that he received from her allegations. So essentially, somebody got the death penalty without ever having been convicted of a crime, so to speak. Now, what's important here is, aside the fact that maybe or maybe not an innocent person has died, because now we'll never know because an investigation can't be carried out, is the fact that this led to a death without there being an investigation. This is one of the consequences of call-out culture, or cancel culture, if you will. What's frightening about it is that no investigation is done. Nothing is held up for debate. Nothing is analyzed, looked at, or dug into to try to understand that it is simply knee-jerk hate reaction. Now, it's perfectly fine to hate things that are bad, but to hate mindlessly, that's kind of a problem. You see, that's what Nazis do. They hate everything, usually without any kind of really solidly intelligent reason for doing so, usually conspiratorial nonsense. Well, you see, the problem is liberals, and unfortunately many on the left, doing the exact same thing without thinking first. And their emotions behind things that they don't like are more important than critical analysis of things that do happen. Now, I am not saying that the supporters of Zoe Quinn are leftists, or, well, I mean, obviously they're liberal, but I'm not necessarily saying they're leftists. I'm just describing this particular phenomenon. This is the kind of thing that can happen when you don't think before you act. This is why we have institutions of justice, and you may criticize those institutions all you wish. There's a ton there that you can criticize. There is a great deal of flaws that don't even have to be there. So there's tons you can criticize. I'm not saying you can't criticize the legal system, because there's plenty there to be criticized. I'm saying this is why we have ideas like guilty until proven innocent. Now, I'm not saying the guy was innocent or he should be treated with kid gloves or anything like that. I'm saying you first have to determine whether or not something actually happened before you try to hang somebody for it. I mean, this is kind of a basic principle, fundamental principle of justice. Because here's the flip side of that. Zoe Quinn was accused of sexually harassing someone, and from what is described is a very aggressive nature. Did this knee-jerk call-out culture, cancel culture, do the exact same thing to her? No. In fact, it just basically pretended that she never did it. And she may not have done it. We don't know, because there's no investigation. And nobody cared to do one. So there is a blatant double standard here, and this double standard should not exist. That's the problem with taking this mob mentality kind of approach, that is cancel culture, call out culture, etc. It is unscientific. It is undemocratic. It does not carry out analysis. It does not critically look at things and try to determine that. Now, liberals, I expect them to do that. That's one of the aspects of liberalism, knee-jerk, emotional outrage response. Fine. Liberals are going to live. I get distressed when I see Marxists doing it. We're supposed to know better than that. We are better than that. Or we're supposed to be better than that. That's my problem with it. I mean, liberals are going to live. It doesn't matter. They're always going to do things like that. That's part of their ideology. But it's not a part of ours. We're the ones that hold the scientific analysis of revolution. And if you are going to participate in this call-out culture, etc., cancel culture, please show me how this is scientifically beneficial to forwarding revolution. Pro tip, it doesn't. So I think that's something very important that does need to be kept in mind about this situation. With regards to actual Zoe Quinn on this situation, I frankly don't care. I think that what's important here is the lesson to be learned while Marxists try to distance ourselves from this disaster as it is. But we can watch what liberals and conservatives do and draw conclusions and lessons from it. And I think this is one that we need to be reminded of, because it's very important. Because in this case, it wasn't just this, somebody makes an accusation, nobody proves it, and everybody loses their mind. This costs somebody their life. And the worst part about that is we don't even know if they even deserved it or not. And that's the point here, is people acting without thinking, just going to base level mob mentality, forgetting even the most fundamental principles of justice out of some idea for revenge over a wrong that may or may not have even been committed. And then overlooking other wrongs that may or may not have even been committed simply because of the sex of the person who perpetrated it. And this is why I think leftists should never touch anything that has to do with Gamergate. Like, don't be a part of it. Like, you can analyze it and draw conclusions from it, etc., learn lessons. That's fine. Just don't get caught up in it, because it's nonsense. So, hopefully we've learned something from this, and that the leftists who keep doing this cancel culture, call-out culture, etc., this knee-jerk emotional reactionism, can learn not to do this in the future, because it is not beneficial to anyone.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.